hear me and everything. Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2. Says I'm live. Hey, what's up? How you doing, Thomas? All right. Am I still up? Is my connection still on? Am I still with you guys? Because I pressed a button. I'm not sure I should have pressed that button, but I think we're good. Um, I'm sure you guys will let me know. Yeah. So I have today's gonna be a little different. I had a I had a plan in mind. So um, perfect, perfect. Um, so plan. What was my plan? This Board James Mythology video. I gotta say, so I don't know if people had a similar experience to me. I've spoke to some people who have. I'm not sure how anyone else has felt about this, but when we start getting later into Board James, the the stories start to get a little bit more, let's just say, confusing. And and then James does this Mythology Explained video, and I thought, all right, great. I'm gonna watch it, and I'll have a better understanding of what a lot of those sequences were all about, what all these seemingly like parallel universes or whatever it was all about, and I'm gonna understand this, a bit better. And I gotta say, I came away watching that video more confused than ever. And I say this again adoringly. Um, I felt like I was watching a little kid explain his story to me, and it just wasn't computing. So I thought, let's see if we could actually deconstruct this, write this down, take notes. I even got a whiteboard up here to start categorizing things, organizing things, and figure out what the Board James mythology is. Um, so this makes so as we go through this video, we'll sort this out. And if you guys feel you know something, you get something, say it in the chat. Let me know. Maybe you understand this already better than I do, or we'll continue to make discoveries. As always, let me know. I think it's gonna be hell for me. It turns out well. I think I'm gonna be. I might be spinning my gears, more confused than ever. I'm kidding around, but as usual, let me know about anything with the audio. But all right, well, let's start. Let's get started. Let's watch the Board James Mythology Explained.
I hope you all enjoyed the nightmare finale of Board James. Just to be clear, this is not necessarily the final episode ever, but it's the final episode for the time being.
When was the last Board James? Because I think we're running up at like what, 8 years now, maybe. When was the last Board James? Someone let me know if they know what the last Board James was. But
Until I plan out more. At the beginning of this year, 2015, I planned out
oh, 2015. Okay, so that I think that's the last one he's done was so not the last one ever, but certainly the last one in 10 years.
8 episodes with a story arc and continuity between them. So this is the last of the 8. In the same way that Dream Phone was the last episode at the time, that was a big episode and it was the last one for a while until I started them up again. So like before, anything can happen. As you noticed, the Nightmare episode was pretty complex, perhaps confusing. I designed the story arc in a way that it would be fun to discuss and analyze, but if you want it all explained, then here comes the explanation. So this is your last chance to figure it all out for yourself. Although if you listen to all this, what I have to say, at the end, still there's going to be a lot left unsolved. So the Board James mythology is always expanding.
Okay. So, know what? You don't think so? You don't think we'll get a board James with John, neighbor nerd?
First of all, it should already be clear from the Nightmare episode that in the world of Board James, in the logic, when people die, their soul or their life force is reborn into another world.
Okay, I'm writing this down. You might not see me write it down, so I just don't want to switch screens right now. But I'm writing this down. All right. People die and are reborn into other worlds. Got it.
So you probably already know, but just for the sake of explanation, that other world, that next world, exists inside of something like a game. Because we draw so much attention to games, we're focused on them, we lend our imaginations to them, that it makes them real. So what you do in that game affects that world, although we're not aware of it. As you saw in the episode, and if you retrace back to all the previous episodes this year, each
I need to put
to them that it makes them real. So what you do in that game affects that world.
the next world exists inside of something like a game. But it seems like it doesn't have to be a game. It could be anything. It could be. Is that what he's saying? Do you guys? Is he saying that it could exist in something, not just a game, but it could be, I don't know, a dollhouse, maybe? Could it be like what? It seems like it could be anything. You probably can't. My face is probably too far away from the mic. Um. Okay.
Although we're not aware of it. As you saw in the episode, and if you retrace back to all the previous episodes this year, each game piece represents a person who's living in that world. If you're moving the game piece and the game piece dies, the same thing happens to that person. It's a domino effect. It's such a well-known phenomenon that the term domino effect is used in general whenever describing anything that sets off a chain reaction of events. The mythology is kind of like, if I were to compare it to movies, it's sort of like Inception and Jason and the Argonauts. So for the chain of events to keep happening, there always needs to exist another game inside of the game. After you die, you go into whatever game you played last or whichever one you're closest to. Fate decides.
Wait, what? See, this is where I'm already like, what?
Inception and Jason and the Argonauts.
Why did this?
Game piece dies, the same thing happens to that person. It's a domino effect. It's such a well-known phenomenon that the term domino effect is used in general whenever describing anything that sets off a chain reaction of events. The mythology is kind of like, if I were to compare it to movies, it's sort of like Inception and Jason and the Argonauts. So for the chain of events to keep happening, there always needs to exist another game inside of the game. After you die, you go into whatever game you played last or whichever one you're closest to.
I don't understand that. After you die, you go inside the game you played last, or the one you're closest to. So I don't. But if Bootsy died, let's say, I actually haven't watched this series in a little bit. But if he dies in the Dream Phone episode, does that mean he goes inside of Dream Phone world? Is that what? Yeah, maybe that's yeah. Why with the Jason and the Argonauts? Okay, so you die, and if you were playing chess when you die, you enter the chess world. And I guess in that chess world, there's other board games there that you could play. And all right, okay, okay. So I think what I'm getting here is if I die playing chess, if my chess piece is a rook, and that rook is captured, so I die, and then I go into that world. Let's presume it's some medieval world, and in that world, I could play other games. But it's weird because I died in that world because my piece died. So I don't. Okay. All right.
Fate decides, however, fate can be influenced by the players.
Fate. This is such a fucking mess. Fate decides. However, fate can be influenced by the players. Am I wrong here that I'm like someone tell me if this is a me thing. I'm 2 minutes in and I think this is a convoluted mess. Let me let me share my screen for a moment. My notes. This is what I have. You might not be able to see them. Maybe I have to. I don't know if I have to expand this a bit. I got people die and are reborn into other worlds. That next world exists inside of something, like a game. If you move a game piece and it dies, the person dies. A game, like in a game inside the game. There always needs to exist a game inside the game. It's a domino effect. After you die, you go inside the game you played last. Fate decides, however, fate can be influenced by the players. The luck of the die. Okay, maybe. Okay, that's not a bad note. Okay. Example. Roll of dice could be how players influence fate. Okay. Okay, I think that's a breakthrough for me. I think we got something there. All right. Go back to the video. Yeah, I know if I switch back and forth, it's going to be a problem. That's why I
However,
wasn't switching.
fate can be influenced by the players. The first
Now
person
it's
to enter
audio.
the game becomes the game master. They have a lot of influence over the world, although it's subconscious. In Inception, they go into dreams.
Maybe I should have watched Inception. I've never watched Inception. So, I mean, I hear it was a good movie and maybe I should watch it. So maybe that's a me thing, but now I'm feeling like I need to watch Inception to understand this better.
And there's always one person who's the dreamer. But here, it's the game master. So all the people who died in the world above, all the other players that join him in the game, if they all enter the same game, it's only the first person, the game master, who has this subconscious control. And they might influence over the world, although it's subconscious. In Inception, they go into dreams, and there's always one person who's the dreamer. But here, it's the game master.
The Game Master? Okay.
So all the people who died in the world above, all the other
What's up, Zach? Okay. So there's a Game Master.
players that join him in the game, if they all enter the same game, it's only the first person, the game master, who has this subconscious control.
Okay. So now there's games above and games below. So I'm guessing a game by below what he really means is it's not that there's a hierarchy. If you die, okay. So the game master has subconscious control. How many how many plot threads does one thing need to have? The game master has subconscious control. I should copy my whiteboard onto the screen. Let me do that. I'll just turn it on and off.
I hope you all enjoyed the nightmare person who's the dreamer. But here it's the game
What's up?
master. So all the people who died in the world above, all the other players that join him in the game, if they all enter the same game, it's only the first person, the game master, who has this subconscious control. And they might not remember their past life. Everything gets wiped clean. It all depends how strong the person's memory is.
See, this is where okay, like it's stuff like this. It's just it's so convoluted to me because all right, let's because it's there's all these weird exceptions for no reason. It's they might not remember, but it depends on how strong their memory is. Like what? Like how many rules does Board James have? Might may remember past life, may not depending on memory. Wait, let me understand. So Board James became a game master after he died. When did he die first? That's a good question. That's a good question. And I guess he's always the game master. I feel like a cheesy AV Gen line would be like Master Bader, yeah.
What kind of things made an impression on them in their past life?
What kind of thing? So there's like some reincarnation thing happening. Basically, all the rules were decided in the last two episodes of the show. Probably.
Board James, for instance, happens to be obsessed with board games. He
Okay, Board James happens to be obsessed with board games.
clings
Okay, is that his name? Is his first name Board and his last name James?
on to his childhood. And not only does the Game Master have influence on the world around them, but the characters
Subconsciously, mind you, they subconsciously have an influence on them, and they may remember, but they may not remember, depending on their memory.
of
Which I guess you could say about anyone.
the people, too. So when Bootsy dies first and goes into the Candyland game, it's his design. Everybody becomes all happy and joyful.
Okay. Okay. Let's add this to the Bootsy dies, so people take on his, I guess, persona. Okay. So if you die first, you become the game master, and then everyone starts to become more like you. Okay. As you guys can tell, I'm not that fond of that last episode of Board Games. Or I was so it's so confusing, and I'm trying to make sense of this. And
So they could become completely different people in each life.
completely different people in each life. They could become completely different people. So we have I just let me just outline what we have here. We have We have parallel universes. We have people dying and going into different games or not games. They don't have to be games. They could be other things. We have people becoming game masters, and those game masters turn people into other people who all have different personalities. So now we also have different personalities. The thing is, if you're gonna do something that's like a mystery or a psychological thriller or something like that, like the pieces in the story all need to be there and make sense so that when it clicks with the viewer, it's like, aha, I should have known this. Like if you're watching The Sixth Sense and you figure out the plot twist, when you find out the plot twist, it's like, ah, yes, the clues were all there. It makes sense. And it's one plot twist. This is like every weird science fictiony thing he could think of, all mishmash. Like, how would I know? How could I watch this and know? Yes, of course, when someone dies, everyone took on Bootsy's personality. Yeah, I get. I'm not sure.
in each world. But because Board James remembers so well that he keeps reimagining Mike and Bootsy to be just like their former selves. To the Candyland game, it's his design.
You might not know what I'm laughing at. I just don't even know how to articulate it because it's just like one rule after another, and one like it's just what.
Everybody becomes all happy and joyful.
Uh huh.
So they could become completely different people in each life, in each
Right.
world. But because Board James remembers so well that he keeps reimagining Mike and Bootsy to be just like their former selves.
So they can become different people, but they'll actually become just like themselves because Board James remembers them so well. I think that's what I heard. I. This is even more confusing than I thought. Cont- Is a fair assessment of what I just heard? And does this make any characters can take on different personas depending on the game master, but they keep the same persona because Board James remembers them so well. I think that's a fair. I'm simplifying it, but I think it's a fair assessment of what he said. What am I supposed to do with that? Right. Exactly. As in, he could have simplified this a whole lot more. I think is how I'm reading your statement. We continue.
Though they're never quite the same. Bootsy's missing eye is back, and things like that.
Okay. Like, if you just took that idea on its own, it would make like you could work with that just on its own. Like there are these sort of alternate worlds, and they're each slightly different, and because they're slightly different, you get different personas. Right? That makes sense. There are so many things that have done stuff like that. I'm sure for whatever reason, the '90s show Slider comes to mind instantly. Okay, that and then that's it. That's the complication. You don't need any more. But this has like all these other things going on. Okay, we continue.
Even though the game master is subconsciously creating the world and the characters, it's the gamers in the world above who are playing the game that they're in who are also unknowingly controlling.
What the? What?
So the game master is subconsciously creating the world and the characters. It's the gamers in the world above who are playing the game that they're in who are also unknowingly controlling them. So the control is happening in many different directions, sort of like the hands on a Ouija plancha.
Segue there. So here's what I have. I'm gonna need. I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need the help of smarter people than me on this right now. Okay, so I have. Oh my god, I'm balls on the dick watching this shit. I don't know. This doesn't. This isn't giving me a draw. There it is. Okay, I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna draw. I'm not showing the. I have here. We have players. You gonna let me draw? No. All right. I'll use. I'll just use these sticky notes to indicate what I mean. So these greens are the players above, okay? And these blues are players in the game world, and this purple is the game master. So like now there's only three fucking characters. So what who's playing here? And then who are the people in here? Are they duplicates? So like is this like okay, so let's say if this is Mike, right? And then is this James is let's say James is the game master and then Bootsy is here. Is it peace in the world? But then is there also like a Bootsy here? Are there multiple copies of Bootsy? Like what the fuck is this? Like I think we're gonna have to go to like I guess we're gonna have to watch the episode too and make sense of it. I didn't think to do that, but I think I might have to also watch the episode now. No, but like this is Mike. Well, who is he playing by himself? I guess there is a moment where Board James is playing by himself. And if James is the game master, but the game master is in the world, and then Bootsy is a piece, so Mike is controlling them and he's playing against nobody. Or he is playing against somebody, and then this piece is by himself. Or they're all in the game world, and actually nobody is playing up here. Or they're copies. What am I wrong in like that the math doesn't make this is not working out in terms of what he said? Like can please someone tell me am I making too much of this? You have three people. How do you have a game master and then people playing the game and then also people in the game world? Who are these people? What? What is this madness? So we have we have Mike up here. He's the player. He's the dick. And we have James and Bootsy are the balls on the dick. And I don't know. I guess this is probably us the viewers here or some shit. And we got some pyramid scheme of board games going on. I was naive because I thought I might actually be able to make some sense out of this, and I don't think I can. Alright.
So it's a
Look at that segue.
group effort. It takes all your powers combined, the living, the dead, the powers above, and the leader in charge of the game.
Who's subconsciously doing it, mind you.
So that's the overall mythology, but now on to
So that's the overall mythology. Yeah, I got it. Of course. So that's it. That's the overall mythology. Like, I watched that shit understanding any of it. I think I pieced together something. Is that last part is really throwing me off, though.
the specifics. When you see me in the jail cell, this was the earliest known incarnation of the character that became Board James. So this is Board James World 1. I don't want to talk too much about this because I don't want to spoil it. I might
Oh, he doesn't want to spoil it. Because in 10 years from now, we might. You know something? Oh. Alright. What are the chance? Because at the end of his. At the end of his last video, his top 10 moments of AVGN, to which I would say you need a top one first, but so it's his top 10 moments of AVGN. He does mention writing a screenplay. Is there a chance that this is going to be the screenplay? Could this be it? Is it possible he has a screenplay even more convoluted than his last film? And it's Board James, the movie.
want to save it for future episodes. I have a basic outline written, which is still bouncing around in my head, so I'm still kind of thinking about this part.
Future episodes. So he had future episode ideas for Board James, a property that people liked, and then he went with the Cinemassacre podcast instead and rental reviews. And then when people complained, he still never went back to Board James, even though he has these ideas and people would actually watch it. Sorry, this wasn't meant to be a shit on James Rolfe video. This is, but boy, he's a funny guy.
But basically, you can already tell that he's in prison for murder, and while he's there, he's reading instruction manuals to board games, which is the only thing that reminds him of happier times. He's sentenced
As what should have been obvious from watching the video.
to death, and that's where Board James World 2 begins. So the first episode happens after that. Then Mike and Bootsy appear, who all existed in some form in the world above. Who
The world above. Okay. So the zero patient world is the higher world. And the I guess the copies, the alternates are the lower ones, and that's what he means when he says higher and lower. Okay.
were they in their past life? Cellmates? crime partners who double crossed him. I don't want to say too much. Use your imagination. But basically, Board James, as the game master, gives them new characteristics, which is probably a combination of different types of personalities that he's known before. And because he's remembering the more innocent days, they take on more childish personalities. The home he lives in is a combination of different places he's known before. The video store makes a brief appearance, for example. The attic is like the subconscious part of his mind, where the things he's less fond of lie. Even the jail tends to appear often. You can see the chalk marks. And whenever he's reading from an instruction manual, the bars appear. So he developed an imaginary house that combines all the places he was in.
How do we get to an attic from the basement? This house doesn't make any sense.
You said it, my friend. You said it.
Always in a different room.
When Mr. Bucket appears, who was Mr. Bucket in his past life? Perhaps a pedophile that he shared a cell with.
He took it there, but he took it there. Who knows? Could have been. I don't know. Oh boy. Okay.
As soon as they play the
I'm not making any screen. Yeah. Just who knows? Perhaps,
game of life, that begins the game of death, which is Dream Phone. This was the first episode where people start dying. At the end, Board James is presumably taken to jail, a reminder, some kind of deja vu of his past life. After the Dream Phone
Okay, but he goes to jail. So is he the game master now or what?
episode, there's a large time span between episodes, so this is kind of a foggy area that's best left unknown.
It's a foggy area that's best left unknown. Guys, I'm trying to explain this to you, but I'm going to admit the key logical gaps in all of this. So, like, he's alive, they die. So they presumably go into the Dream Phone game. Well, what happens to him and what's happening with them? But let me explain.
But when Board James makes a cameo in the Nerds AVGN Games episode, he mentions that he used a get out of jail free card from Monopoly. So the logic of board games still applies in his imagination.
Okay, so he's still. So in theory. All right, so now as I'm understanding, we just talk about. Let's go into. Let's pull up the tape here. If we're talking about the Dream Phone episode, where we're at here is supposedly James went to prison. Bootsy and Mike are dead, and they're presumably the closest game that they were in was the Dream Phone game. Okay. So Lord knows what these two are doing right now. And who their game master is. I guess it's Mike. I forget who died first. But this guy is in another world. Board James. And then we have the nerd is here. Okay. I'm going to try to follow this. All right? So Board James and the nerd are in the world where Board James was playing Dream Phone. These fuckers died. And presumably they're in the Dream Phone. This guy got out of jail because he played Monopoly. because it was his quote imagination. Well, how did he get out of jail though? It's okay if you want to say, hey, if you want to say Board James is delusional, there still has to be some way this murderer got out of jail. He said it's definitely in his imagination. So the get out of jail free is his imagination. But wait, I'm not Zach. Are you saying that all of this is in Board James's imagination, or it's all in James's imagination? Like now, I'm confused by what you're trying to say. But was I'm understanding it? He didn't leave jail. He was executed. What did he say that? Wait, hold on. Let's go back because I didn't hear he was executed. He was executed in World 1. I didn't hear he was executed in the Dream Phone deal. Let's go back to the tape here. Because he just goes, it was foggy.
His dream phone. This was the first episode where people start dying. At the end, Board James is presumably taken to jail.
Presumably. Okay, but so we're going to assume he's in jail.
A reminder, some kind of deja vu of his past life.
Okay.
After the Dream Phone episode, there's a large time span between episodes, so this is kind of a foggy area that's best left unknown. But when Board James makes a cameo in the Nerds AVGN Games episode, he mentions that he used a get-out-of-jail-free card from Monopoly, so the logic of board games still applies in his imagination.
Right, so the logic of the games are in his imagination. But the reason he's out of jail, well, I guess we could presume one of two reasons, right? So there's one of two reasons this guy's out of jail. Either he escaped somehow, and now he's hanging out with the nerd, or he died, and he's in another world, and that world would not be the Dream Phone world with Bootsy and Mike, which they presumably ended up in. Yeah, but he mentioned he was executed. He did mention being executed. Okay, maybe.
So he's having dialogues with the nerd now, so from this point on, he's just going nuts. In the season starter this year, Omega Virus, he shows he's capable of splitting himself into more than one identity.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, if this didn't have enough rules. So now we have, as it turns out, so fuck you, viewer. You don't fucking know what the hell is going on. That is what we have here. Okay. BJ was executed, though not Board James. Okay. So Board James is the murderer with super memory. That's a game master that could control the behaviors of other people and split himself into multiple characters. You know what's upsetting? Not upsetting. Upsetting is not the right word. You know what's disappointing about this? Is on its own, I thought the Mr. Bucket and Dreamfeld episodes were awesome on their own. I thought they were clear, they were tight, they were on their own, they worked. You think he's in jail speaking to himself? I mean, here's the thing about this though. It's like there's so much lore already that the fact that we now need to invent even more lore to make sense of this thing is really, really messed up. Okay. All right, Bimmy.
So he's not...
Right, so is that what we're saying, that they don't exist at all? These are all imaginary? Or they were from his past life and now the rest of them are imagined?
Not even clear who he is anymore.
He's not clear who he is anymore.
You did it! You didn't do it! I didn't do it! I didn't do it!
The lie detector episode is when he starts trying to figure out the truth. The Ouija episode is when things get real crazy. He makes
Oh, this is when things start getting crazy.
contact with the spirits of Elvis and Rodney Dangerfield,
Yeah, man, just spoken like a man who really does love Family Matters.
who become Bootsy and Mike.
Play with him.
This is open to interpretation, so I'll present.
Am I wrong that, like, once you already have such a complicated story, the last thing it needs are more ideas that are open to interpretation? So, Zach, is it clear that his friends don't exist, or is it another one of those? Oh, it's open to interpretation, whatever it is you see. Because I think they like fade away at some point. But yeah, I do vaguely recall, and then I even recall like, and I actually thought this was cool at the time, where they go back to him playing Crossfire and he's playing by himself.
Two possibilities of what happened.
Who two possibilities. Like how do you even write a script like that? Like one thing happened or it didn't, and then you base your writing off of that. Like even if you don't share all the information with the viewer, you know what happened as the writer. Why does that piss me off so much?
When James slits his wrist and dies, he descends into World 3.
World 3. Okay, see, okay, hold on. So, alright. World 3. What is it? World 3. So, World 1 was the world where he was the prisoner from the beginning, and he dies through electrocution. Okay, and then World 2 would be the dream phone world, right? Where he's hanging with the nerd and splitting himself. So then it's really not clear to me how he ended up out of jail in Dream Phone World. I know, you gotta get a jail free card. And then how does he end up in World 3? Did I miss it? So now he's in World 3. Now, if there is a World 3, Bootsy and Mike would be in the Dream Phone world, or keep descending into there, because that's where they died nearest. I don't know where this guy is. Okay. World 1 is serial killer. Yeah. World 2 is normal board, James. Yeah. But this is also the one where he does a lot of things, including splitting himself into multiple pieces, murdering people in the Dream Phone episode, etc. And so now this is World 3. He kills himself? Did he kill himself? Did I miss that? Did he just say it and I miss it? Yeah, well, oh, okay, right, exactly. Well, now here's the issue, though. What game? So now these two, yeah. So in theory, World 3, but like, they died, they would have ended up in Dream Phone, because they died in that episode. And so then he ends up in another world. But are they the game master of different games or different worlds? Because now we got a couple of things going on here, right? Because we got the game and we got the world, and those are two different things now. But if the world and the game are the same, then yes, it would make sense that Bootsy is the game master. But if the game and the worlds, you could have multiple. Can you have multiple games in the same world? Why did he kill himself? Hold on. Can someone remind me of why he killed himself? Oh, right. It says it right here. Right.
His wrist and dies, he descends into World 3. He enters the
Right.
Ouija
He
game.
just said it. He's in the Ouija. Okay, so hold on. Hold on. I don't know how to spell Ouija, but Board James is in the Ouija game. These fuckers should be in Dream Phone. Because they died in Dream Phone. Okay. Well, this guy was hanging around with the nerd. And then he decides to kill himself. He's in the Ouija board now. So in theory, these guys have been living in Dream Phone world, being all sexy.
When Mike and Bootsy died in the Dream Phone episode, they each went into separate games. The Elvis game and the Rodney Dangerfield.
Wait. Why? Hold on. Okay. Now here's my disconnect. He said, so this is where it's like he had said when you die, you go into the game that you played last. And the game they played last was Dream Phone. But yes, then he also said, well, when you die, you go into the game that you were closest to. So what kind of bullshit is this? So it could be one or the other. But like, why did he end up in these particular games? Because again, in theory, it should have been. Was he really close? It's like, so that's why the rules are convoluted. It's like if you played it last or you're close to it. And was he close to it when they died? Now I got to go back and watch this crap. No, and that's exactly why that happened. I don't begrudge that at all. I obviously have a love of Elvis myself. Mike loves Elvis. He wanted to play Elvis. Good on him. But you can't tell me that was written in logically. Unless somebody shows me in the Dream Phone episode that he dies, and then the Elvis board game was right there when he died. Man, the Zelda timeline people had a much easier job of trying to make their shit work than whatever this is. So we got Mike is in Elvis world. Bootsy, yeah, confirmed, is in Rodney Dangerfield world. Okay. And James is in Ouija world. And I'm gonna presume, based on everything I've heard, that they're all the game masters of their own separate worlds. And nobody's controlling them up here because they're all fucking dead. Unless some people are playing these games and we don't know it. And why Board James and Nerdman? Who the fuck knows why? We could kiss his ass goodbye. Because he died in 2014. The latest. Alright, let me continue.
Field game, and were each transformed into those respective characters.
Hunka bucket, fuck it.
So they all parted ways. But when James enters the Ouija board is different than other games. It's a trans-dimensional portal.
just make a video that said, look, I made whatever the fuck I wanted to make. Who the fuck cares why things happened the way they were? Just enjoy it for what it is. The end. And instead, he's trying to explain this shit like it makes sense. It doesn't make sense. It's another rule. Oh, but the Ouija board is different. Everything is different. Every aspect of this has a new rule. He's not. No, you don't understand. But the Ouija board is different. This one has new rules. Okay, so here we go. Oh my god, James. Why can't I can't type anymore. I don't understand mural anymore. Why is mural not working the way I want? Are you giving me a text option? Yeah, switch to text. I see, that's why. Ouija board has its own rules. Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. This wasn't I have a vision and an outline in my head. I'm just gonna write what I want, and I'm gonna try to make sense out of this later. And that's why this video reads like a child made it. Because a child did. Right? But listen, you have to understand, this has its own rules. So we have like 18 different rules that came before it. And now this one game has its different rule to break these other rules so I could get these guys back in the fray. Okay. Right, isn't that great? Like every fucking moment is a retcon. The whole thing, board James. You just put one giant retcon from beginning to end. This is funny. Okay, now that I'm like slowly watching this, it's starting to understand a bit more of what's going on here. I mean I don't mean about the mythology. I just mean like how this mess happened.
Normally, all the different worlds branch out, but the Ouija is a parallel dimension, so he's able to cross over between the other dimensions.
They all branch out, but there's one parallel that can branch. Okay, so there's both. Okay, so now we have fucking gotta make sense of this. We have branching worlds and one parallel world. Now, yeah, yeah, it's just when you thought it was gonna end, it actually gets worse. Um, and now here's the question that I have: like, can the Ouija board world? Can you go up worlds? Can you go down worlds? Like, what direction can this shit go? Right, the Ouija completely different rules. Yeah, I mean, yes, like on its own that would totally make sense. I think what I have trouble with in terms of this idea that well the Ouijas are special because they can be more paranormal is that the whole thing is already paranormal. So like what now this one's getting its unique it's actually extra special paranormal. I was hoping there'd be some people in here saying, "No, Anthony, it's you. This all makes sense. You're the idiot." I probably did watch Scotty's retrospective, but I should watch it again to remind myself. I really like Scotty's stuff a lot, not just like I watched it. that I think he did both an AVGN, or at least the James Rolfe and the Board James one. I think he did two. But I really liked a lot of his stuff. His Back to the Future ones were really good, and it's just kind of normal, like, hey, like, this is my life. I'm making videos. Let me show you my world, kind of deal. That's probably not how he'd frame it, but yeah, I really like all of his stuff. Like, he's a real pro. Scotty D is a real pro. That guy should have like hundreds of thousands of followers, in my opinion. Um, yeah, he's a real deal. I have to stoop to AVGN stuff to get views, but Scotty should pump stuff out and people should just come. What? Well, yeah, there's like a kernel that could work, and if we like, I've said this before. Like, when James has like a focus thing and constraints, it works. But when you don't give this guy constraints, it just goes it just goes off the rails. Like, this guy needs like rules and structure and constraints, and then his stuff works. You give him too much time and too much to jam in there, and it is just, well, it's this.
This is how the three of them meet again, and because all three of them are the game masters with their own identities,
They're all three the game masters. Okay, all right, I get why, because they were all from other game. I
no
guess
longer under the influence of Board James.
they're no longer under the influence of Board James, which we all should have picked up on when we watched it.
Until they all touch the plancha and James calls upon the Ouija powers. They all descend into World 4.
Let's run that back.
Influence of Board James, until they all touch the plancha and James calls upon the Ouija powers.
I call upon the Ouija powers.
They all descend into World
to bring us into the game Hangman.
4. It's like the Ouija dimension spit them out into the next world. Sort of like one-dimensional plane flushing the toilet. And they're the turds.
I'm getting too tired of some of this to even try to comment on it. Okay, so insert random reason. We have they all end up in World 4. This is World 4. Mike, Bootsy, and now they're in Hangman. And I'm presuming James is the game master. I guess. So here's what I got. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for joining this complete mess. All right, so Board James in World 1, he's a prisoner who gets executed. He dies. He ends up in World 2, where he murders his friends Mike and Bootsy in Dream Phone, and then could also replicate himself and somehow gets out of prison, and we don't know how, and spends time with the nerd because reasons. Then Mike ends up in an Elvis world just because Mike wanted to play Elvis and for no other reason than James is trying to explain that. Bootsy is Rodney Dangerfield world. James is in Ouija world. And to get them back together, James retcons some random reason why and forces them back into the same game together in World 3. Now James needs to get them out of World 3 and randomly creates another rule in which he's just able to magically transport them into Hangman, no murder required. And so now we're here in World 4. Boar James, Mike, and Bootsy are in Hangman. I'm going to presume that Boar James is the game master in which these characters can take on his personality, sort of, but not really take on his personality, because Boar James' memory is so good that he actually remembers their real personality. So instead of being a game master who's controlling their personalities, he's actually using the power of his memory to subconsciously make them more like the people that they really are. And yes, that is exactly as James has described it. So back to the video. It's good to see everybody here. All right.
In the next world, the Hangman realm I'll call it, Boar James is once again the game master because he entered slightly before everybody else.
He entered slightly before everyone else. Of course. Sure. Whatever.
So now he's in control, or should I say, his mind is in control. So he imagines Bootsy and Mike back to their normal selves, or as normal as it was to Boar James. This is where I give two possibilities. Is it really Mike and Bootsy, or is it actually the spirits of Elvis and Rodney Dangerfield? Because they were real people. So did Boar James actually meet them and then reimagine them as his old friends?
Wait,
Wacky blasters,
wait, what?
or as normal as it was to Boar James. This is where I give two possibilities. Is it really Mike and Bootsy, or is it actually the spirits of Elvis and Rodney Dangerfield? Because they were real people. So did Boar James actually meet them and then reimagine them as his old friends? Wacky Blast.
You just said that Mike is in Elvis world, and it's Mike. But it's not. We weren't saying that he is Elvis. And so now we get to here, and you're saying maybe
And the Full House.
maybe that's Elvis? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Was I supposed to watch this thinking that maybe this guy is Elvis? It- Captain B. Right. No. Yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out, Zach. Like I thought it was gonna be like, well, he sent them there, so he's the game master. No, he got there slightly first. This is open to the imagination. That might be Elvis, right there. That could be. That could be right, Michael Presley.
Circle episode toy with the question of where Mike and Bootsy came from and who they are. The video games episode shows that the nerd is his split personality.
Okay. So let me ask this. The nerd is his split personality. And so we, the viewer, are watching the nerd. We've been watching him for 220 episodes. So, like, which worlds are those? What world is this one in? He keeps going. Come on. Come on, let's cut the crap.
Some people have said that they thought it was a prequel to the nerd, but I see it as two separate existences. 13 Dead End Drive hints more
Yeah, what I mean, what? And he just like dismisses that. Oh, he's also the nerd. Fuck it. He's also the bullshit man. Look, he's the nerd and he's the bullshit man, and he's Elvis. Okay, what do you want from me? Fuck that. My God. You know, I've seen this video before, and I should know all this, but like, as it just keeps, it's all like they're two separate. No, they're the same, but they're different, and it's not a prequel.
More at James's past life as a murderer, and this is where he really begins tormenting his friends, and where all three of them die again. With Nightmare, obviously they die many more times after that. You can have lots of fun connecting all the deaths together. You'll notice James becomes more evil as they go down into these worlds. Bootsy and Mike must have done something wrong to him many worlds above before
They must have done something. Way to blame the victim. Hey, I apologize, even though I'm not the one that did it. Yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, yes, some of this is it's funny, and we laugh, but there's some it's like okay, it's all in good fun, and then there's stuff like this is bad. This is really bad.
sending him down. He inhabits the lower worlds, kind of like Satan, and they've all descended into his dungeon hell. By the time they get to Battleship, that's World 9. There's no real end to the story, but we leave Board James dead, and we can only imagine where his soul goes next. You can tell there's a lot of thought put into this.
No, actually, the opposite is true. No thought was put into it. And you just decided to just connect the dots. And if there was actually a lot of thought, like, stop thinking. Like, keep it simple. Mo Bimmy, mo problems. You could tell there was a lot of thought that put into this. I had to rewrite all kinds of stuff to make this somehow sort of make sense, but actually not make sense whatsoever.
But to be clear, I didn't know this whole story until after the Dream Phone episode. That's
Yeah, no shit. And everything after that.
when I started thinking more in depth to all this. And that's what happens when you write stories over time. The backstories to the characters all grow and grow. Like when George Lucas made up Star Wars, he didn't originally know that Darth Vader was going to be Luke's father. That idea came up later. So that's what
No, hold on, time out. But he didn't release the shit and not know. By the time by the time A New Hope came out, he had already known that plot twist. What are you talking about? This is his next. Is again again the guy goes comparing himself to George Lucas. It's the return of me. I love that. Love that line.
happens. I made sure that James's clothing becomes progressively darker as it goes on.
Yeah, wow, what a touch.
And the shirts themselves sometimes give little.
No, I wait, hold on. He did after a new. That doesn't make sense. Well, if he did decide it after A New Hope came out, it still made a lot more sense. I thought he had like the first three kind of already somewhat outlined. And that's why it's that's why the New Hope is written the way it does. Either way, it still made sense.
Hints. Ghosts, the electric chair from Ride the Lightning, Garfield's a cat.
Come on, let's be real. You wanted to wear a Metallica shirt. Stop trying to tell me that was some genius. Right. Well, that part you didn't know.
9 lives, representing the 9 worlds. I planted.
That's genius. Your Garfield shirt represented the 9 worlds. And come on, let's be real. You, I'm.
The idea of the cat all over. If you look at my hats, Apple, Frankenstein, Top Gun, Empire, RCA, and the skull representing
Hey everybody, look at my subtle genius.
death, take the first letter of each, AFTER, death, after death.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Come on. Wow, that is just what brilliance. What absolute genius. Wow, wow, it was just hiding in plain sight all along, James. Right. You know what and he's done this with a lot of episodes, but I remember like in the Jekyll and Hyde revisited AVGN, where it's like he almost mocks this convoluted way of thinking and making convoluted connections. And then in this, he does it for real and he makes it seem like it's brilliant. Like, no, this is the kind of thing you're supposed to make fun of, right? This is like your 666 bit in Mario 3, right? Like, that's a joke. This is supposed to be a joke. Like, film critics are gonna go back and they're gonna look at this and be like, "Oh my God, he's right. He wore a Top Gun hat. That stands for the letter T in After Death." It didn't irritate me when it came out. I was just like, I just thought I'd understand more, and I just left even more confused.
And the release dates of the episodes, if you look at that, it spells 1313 dead. If it's so wonderful and so brilliant, by the way, you don't have to be the one to point it out. Let others figure this out. Oh wow, it's 1313 dead, guys. All right, I guess. Oh, I accidentally stopped it. Hold on. Letter of each, AFTER, death, after death. And the release dates of the episodes, if you look at that, it spells 1313 dead. Yeah, I had way too much fun, didn't I? And so can you. You can keep analyzing these. You could look deeper into them if you want. I hope to do more sometime, but for now, it was a nice, fresh year for me. 2015, Board James was the focus for once, and it was really great because creatively I need to do things that are different all the time. We'll see what 2016 holds, and yeah,
Oh, will we ever?
just have fun, enjoy the videos. Like in the world of board James, it's all one big game.
I do think after slowing down, I mean I kind of understand it better. It doesn't mean it's not good. But I guess I understand it better. I mean, it's one convoluted rule after another. People die, they're reborn into worlds. If you move a game piece and it dies, the person dies. So like that's the other thing. It's like so you could die if your piece dies in the game world, you die in the real world, and also if you die in the real world, you move into that game. So whatever the fuck that means, it's a game inside the game. There always needs to exist a game inside a game, okay? It's a domino effect. After you die, you go inside the game you played last, or the one you're closest to, unless you're Mike Batey and you want to dress up as Elvis. Fate decides. However, fate can be influenced by players, so meaning nothing. It's just whatever. Then there's the game master. The game master has subconscious control, may remember past life, may not, depending on their memory. And Board James has super duper memory. Uh, we have, yeah. Well, yeah, I think a better right, like you, if I think a better writer if they like trimmed the fat and just like kept a core idea and worked with that, then you'd have something. Hmm. Um, should I throw on the board, James? Like, if you guys want to hang and watch a board, James, um, I'll do that. And but let me know which one we're thinking. Maybe I mean I don't know if we should just go if we just go all the way to whatever that last one was or some reasonable one. I'm almost, I don't know, but I'm open to a board James recommendation. Wow, I'm like looking ones up while I do that. Hmm. Like, is one of these gonna help me make it make sense? But I kind of want to watch Nightmare again, just to like now that I Full House and Urkel games. I think yeah, maybe I want to. I want to. I think I want to crazy. I feel like let me know what you guys think of this. I feel like the Full House and Urkel games is a good candidate for an episode that was kind of good but kind of wacky at the same time, and it crosses over into both. That might be a decent. The commentary, you know what? I like that, Eric. The commentary with Mike and Bootsy. I think that's a good one. Dream phone commentary with Mike and Bootsy. Yes, I think that is. I think that's what we'll do. I'm gonna. I'm grabbing it right now. This is so always we'll get it straight from the horse's mouth, right? What was he thinking? And I want to see the part in the commentary where he says, and Mike died, and so he became Elvis. That's the part. That's what the commentary I want to see. All right. All right, I'm about to pull it up. I'm almost there. Here we go. Not like I think Bootsy was whatever to me. I wasn't particularly that interested in him. But then you put someone in the video that you like, and I was like, okay, I think this is the one that warmed me up to him.
We're living life here.
Stock market.
Taxes due.
I just got married.
Ooh, payday.
All right, you forfeit your turn again.
Run for mayor. All right.
Mayor, you as mayor?
Ski accident. Pay $5,000.
Payday.
Baby boy.
Stop having so many kids, you fucking asshole.
Buy books and supplies. Pay $5,000. I already did that shit 10 years ago in college.
You have a college degree?
Bioengineering.
I win.
All right, guys. Well, that was fun.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I picked the wrong one. I accidentally didn't grab the commentary one. Hold on. My bad. Let me grab that. Shouldn't be too long. Because we know if it was a commentary one, James would be blabbing on about his genius and something. Alright. Alright, we got it.
All right, so we're gonna do the commentary here on the Dream Phone episode. I got Bootsy here and Mike,
Motherfucker, Mike.
and
I remember this is the first thing that was filmed for this entire video, right? This life segment.
I think so. Yeah, I mean this video took a long time to make. It was about 8 months, but the reason it took so long was because we kept taking breaks from it. But this was done in the same weekend as the shark attack episode.
My entire involvement, well, almost, with the exception of the song, was all shot in this one day, I think, with the voiceover and the acting.
This is for a little girl.
This is for a little girl. That's Jonathan Winters says that, and it's a mad, 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 mad world.
Trust me on this. Trust me.
Yeah, the idea was that because the phone comes alive and starts killing everybody, that it was all Bootsy's fault. That he's the one who introduced the game. That was the original idea. And there was always the idea that to do a girls' game,
Right.
because we just found humor in that what if a bunch of grown men are playing a teenage girls' game.
I know we say that in this video that oh, that's weird. That's a really fun game.
It actually is.
It is.
Fuck you.
I gotta be honest, I had the same experience when I was at like a cousin's house and she presented this game, and it's like, this is actually a good game because it has good game mechanics.
I love
Fucking shit.
Bootsy breaks character there, and then we have all these '80s effects going on, which I love. Is that it's very much like an '80s video right here.
You grew up in the '80s like we did. And
Like an
we saw
80s
MTV.
board game commercial.
And that song which Bootsy composed here is so authentic. It really sounds like it's from the '80s.
Yeah, he's so good. We had to can his ass.
I was telling Mike, I wasn't. This is the only one I don't sing that I created for your videos, and I got my friend Samantha to sing it because I thought it'd be more legit to have obviously a girl singing about a girl's board game.
Probably the first female to ever work on a Board James episode.
That's right.
Yeah. There's always been different ideas of how to
do a girls game because there was, girl talk and mall madness, Ask Zanzibar, all that kind of stuff.
This song was supposed to sound like the Go-Go's, the 80s band, the Go-Go's.
Yeah, actually, that's what I thought. I thought it reminded me of, did they do
Notice how they're not saying anything about any kind of wacky lore that James talks about later.
Vacation?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Our Lips Are Sealed.
Fun game.
That's what I wanted it to sound like. Belinda
It's just
Carlisle.
like a girl game, but it actually is pretty intense.
Who would have thought this game
It's the
would
only
be
time
so awesome?
motherfucker Mike has been honest, I think.
Yeah.
Saying this game is
It's
fun.
like a detective game. You really got to think. Like, imagine if it's the same exact game, same rules and everything, but
Where'd you
instead
get
of
that
trying to
shirt,
find
James?
a guy who likes you, it's all about solving a murder case.
Solving a murder case?
Clue, actually.
Yeah.
I know that shirt I'm wearing, I actually got from a game store in Toronto. They gave that to me. They were fans.
Before you go, I would like
And don't you know that the R stands for R and after death?
you to have this game.
I didn't even
Well,
pick up on that. The murder.
Ah.
I didn't. I learn something new every time I see this.
Yeah. Well, there's so many ways to think about this episode. Maybe board
The sane way and the batshit fucking crazy way.
James wants to do some kind of murder game kind of thing.
I'm thinking about my DVDs that I used to have on my shelf back there.
Yeah. A lot of this video was filmed by myself, and it's really I'm really no stranger to that. This reminds me of filming movies, years ago, like Cinemaphobia, where I'm just filming myself. A lot of times I'm the starring actor in it, and it's just something I'm very used to.
Kind of reminds me of the Mr. Bucket video a bit. Don't you take the batteries out of him too? At one point?
Yeah, it's like, Child's Play. A lot of those movies where there's something that's battery operated, but it doesn't have the battery, so how is it working?
Ooh, that old cliche.
Earlier,
Old
when you
horror
walk into the basement, I know you have this regular. It's normally there. The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Is that a conscious decision?
Yeah, it's like he stepped into the Twilight Zone,
Ah.
But it wasn't the first time that poster appeared in
Uh-huh.
a Forward James episode, but,
Wasn't the first time. Give myself credit for it this time. I'm being too cynical.
And well, that's actually Bootsy doing the voice of the phone.
That's right. As we discussed,
Which we talk about,
We wanted
yeah.
to go for like a Hal kind of to start out the voice to sound like 2001.
But this is like so much tighter than like the other stuff. Like this is a great tight episode.
The Kubrick movie.
Yeah.
The kind of innocence of the just the desperation
Uh-huh.
of the phone, just looking for a friend, and you realize things are more sinister.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, so you matched up Night of the Living Dead to this, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you were to play the movie alongside the scene, the same exact clips that are on the screen would be there because it's in real time. So this entire scene is edited with it's absolutely accurate, which it doesn't need to be, but it is. I went too far.
So I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I have anything insightful to say. Since talking about commentary about the commentary video. So I think we all know that the Dreams Phone episode was I think it was one of the better ones. And I could see from the commentary that, that it's not loopy like the other video. So I might start to wrap it up here because we've done this, an hour and a half? I think that's a good amount of time. But yeah, that was a fun exercise because, yeah, that was, yeah, I think prior to today, I had seen that Mythology video like 1.5 times, where I watched it once and then maybe I scrubbed through it a little bit another time, and this is the first time I really like sat down and tried to understand it. I think I do have a better understanding of it. Are we saying Nightmare is the best one? Are we saying this ironically or unironically? Because that one still confuses me. That episode. But maybe now I'll watch it with new eyes. I think what I'll probably do when I do this again, I'll probably just do it where we just throw on some board games, and enjoy, uh, especially if there's one that we could talk about. But I think it might be one of the later ones though, because what's there really to say about like Crossfire? I think it might have to be one of those like it goes off rails a little bit episodes, and we'll do that. Um, but I think yeah, I think as these get you know past an hour, I don't want to overstay my welcome. Oh, okay, it was okay. Zach's like, it was a joke. Please don't insult my intelligence by thinking that I would think that's a good episode. Um, Obviously that's not what he's saying per se, but I'm putting words in his mouth. But yeah, it was fun joining you guys. This was a fun one for me. I'm glad we were able to do it. And I have no idea what I'm gonna do next weekend, but I'll figure something out. And enjoy your Saturday, enjoy your weekend all.